The year was 680 CE. Nearly 50 years had passed since the departure of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the values he had taught, justice, truth, and compassion, were now being tested. In the city of Medina lived a man whose name would become the symbol of sacrifice for all generations. His name was Imam Husain ibn Ali alayhi salam, the beloved grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yazid demanded allegiance from every influential Muslim leader. But for Imam Husain alayhi salam, this was not a political decision. It was a question of truth and falsehood. He knew that accepting injustice would mean betraying the principles of Islam itself. And so, he refused. Imam Husain alayhi salam left behind the city of his grandfather. Alongside him traveled his family, his children, and a small group of loyal companions. They were not marching toward power. They were walking toward destiny. Thousands of letters had arrived from Kufa, promising support and loyalty. Hope still remained. On the second day of Muharram, the journey came to a halt. Before them stood the vast plains of Karbala. Behind them stood an army sent by Yazid. The road forward had been closed. The road back no longer existed. Karbala had become the stage upon which history would be written. As the days passed, access to water was cut off. Children cried from thirst. Families endured unbearable hardship beneath the burning desert sun. Yet despite every pressure, every threat, and every hardship, Imam Husain alayhi salam refused to surrender his principles. Because some values are worth more than life itself. Dawn broke over Karbala. On one side stood thousands of soldiers. On the other stood a small group of believers united by faith. One by one, Imam Husain's companions stepped forward. One by one, they sacrificed everything they had, not for victory, not for wealth, but for truth. By the afternoon of Ashura, Imam Husain alayhi salam stood almost alone. The grandson of the Prophet now faced an army with unmatched courage. He knew the outcome. He knew the price. Yet he never abandoned his mission. Because Karbala was never about winning a battle. It was about preserving a message. The battle ended, but the story never did. More than 14 centuries later, millions still remember the sacrifice of Karbala. Because Imam Husain alayhi salam proved that truth does not depend on numbers, justice does not depend on power, and faith does not depend on victory. On the sands of Karbala, a man stood for what was right, and in doing so, he became eternal. Ali